Well, good morning, everybody. Our first map today looks at the last 72 hours of total accumulated snowfall. And this goes through last night at about 7 p.m. Eastern Time. What we're focusing in on is just the lake effect snow that we saw here. The models did a really good job, so did the National Weather Forecast, at kind of picking up on these areas of the heaviest snowfall. And picking up on a couple of spots here in New York that did get over 30 inches of snow. And there's still some more flying right now. But one of the things I want to talk about is the pattern that got us here. And what it took was an exiting low going in this direction and high pressure building in behind it. Now, what that did was that really cleared out the skies. So if you just take a look at yesterday's satellite data as we kind of see the sun set, there's the lake effect snow kind of going here on those wind parallel bands across the three largest lakes, and then the shore parallel bands that eventually set up here on Lake Erie in Ontario. You can also see the snowpack that was still trying to melt its way down here in parts of Kansas, getting into Missouri and Iowa, and also back here in the high plains. But what I want to talk about is the effect of that high pressure. So what it did is it really cleared out the skies across a big section of the country. As you know, we did have a full moon over the last 2 days, right? And so there's a common misconception about full moons and frosts, because it did get very cold again last night. In fact, we looked at the 6 a.m. temperatures this morning about the time I was recording this, and you can see we got that frost line pretty far down into Florida and occupying most of the the southeast here. But I just want to make a quick point here. People have told me many times, like, oh well, we always get our if there's a full moon coming, look out for a frost. But that's not quite how it works. What typically happens is we often see full moons very well when the other ingredients are setting up to give you a frost. Now, what do I mean? You got to have high pressure, you got to have clear skies, you have to have calm winds, low humidity, and all of those things allow us to see a full moon. So the reason why there's a correlation there is it's not because there's causation, but this correlation is because of these other factors. So I wanted just to point that out. Full moons do not cause frosts, but we typically see them when we have really cold nights simply because of clear skies. Okay, anyway, as we kind of watch this go forward, I'm going to play you through the overnight. And again, this is this is infrared data. We can see the cloud streets forming off of the east coast, and that's a pretty good sign that we've dumped a lot of cold air east. So if you see stuff like that happening, in fact, let's get all the way to this morning. There it is. So there's your clear night. This is just a good indicator any time of the year if you're curious how far east the cold air has made it. We took a look at those temperatures a few moments ago. So we do have the freeze warnings that have gotten pretty far to the south. We still have parts of the kind of the San Joaquin Valley that has freeze warnings as well this morning. And then we did see the winter weather advisories going out for parts of Arizona and New Mexico. We'll talk more about that in a second. Also, take a look at the Pacific Northwest, and this is going to be a major topic to be discussing. They got a lot of fog now. There's about to be a lot of precipitation coming into the Pacific Northwest in the next couple of weeks here. So let's just keep on this theme of the low temperatures. Just want to show you this morning, but we do know that low that's sitting off the coast of California is going to come on, and it's going to eventually end up by tomorrow coming through Arizona and New Mexico. And watch what it does to the temperatures there. So these are low temperatures. This is this morning. This is tomorrow morning. Another cold one here, but look at the major warm-up happening in the southern plains. So this is all happening as this low begins to emerge right in this area, and it's just making a good pull on much warmer air and moisture-laden air out of the Gulf of Mexico. Now that system's going to roll right from Texas through the Ohio Valley, and as it does so, we're going to be talking about quite a bit of rain in through here. But that's what these warmer overnight lows are caused by. The cloud cover, the precipitation, the draw, and the southerly winds, all of that adds up to very warm temperatures. So we play through Saturday into Sunday, and I'll just tell you something. We'll talk more about temperatures in a few moments, but most of the country goes over mild as we begin this month of December. Now, the low we're talking about is this one right here. Okay, and it is kind of neat to see that we do have the Tejano wind going through here. You can see the cold air just blasting off of the east coast. But notice we have a southerly wind coming across the Great Lakes, shutting down the lake effect snow. But keep an eye on this low as it rolls right in through this area and begins to initiate the risk of those severe storms. So what do we have? Okay, that's going to be the first part. So it's snow here, not much rain in California out of it, but snow into the higher elevations of Arizona and Mexico. Our severe weather threat's going to be here. The low's going to roll off to the north. We then have a secondary chance of picking up more heavy rain down here across the Gulf Coast, a place that desperately needs it. And then we're going to watch just the Pacific jet target the west coast, specifically the Pacific Northwest. And we have the potential here of picking up, 6 to 10 inches of rainfall out of this. And I'll show you what some of the snow looks like in just a few moments. Okay, so with that as the backdrop, let's go take a look at the cause, the thing that's really driving this. It helps that there's this large ridge. We've been talking about it all week building into Greenland. If you also notice from Alaska and the Bering Sea toward, this part of the Pacific Ocean, see how tightly spaced these iso heights are? You can think of them as isobars. That just indicates incredibly strong winds coming across the Pacific Ocean. Now, out ahead of this, there's already a trough in place over the west, and this is the short wave that's going to be moving through California today. It's going to eject tomorrow to give us the risk of those severe storms. You're then going to watch that wave right here get pushed through the Ohio Valley. It's kind of just snuck through there real quick, bringing in rain. And then we're going to see the west coast get hammered by this much deeper trough, really the Pacific Northwest get hammered by this much deeper trough. Now that's going to eventually push across the United States on Sunday and Monday. See this? And we're going to take a look at what that looks like in the models in a few seconds. But then we notice going into early next week, we go to a little bit of a more relaxed time period. So there's that convergent flow out of the northwest. It still makes the turn coming around the broader trough going up the east coast. But then once we get out here past Wednesday toward Thursday and Friday, we just notice that next weekend, after a big warm-up goes on, we're going to see another trough dip in. And I like this. The pattern seems to be open and progressive. I don't see anything getting stuck after this kind of large Greenland ridge starts to work its way out. There's been some confusion over that in the models over the last couple of days that a lot of us have been spending time looking at. But I think the new 0Z run has a good perspective on it. So we'll keep an eye on this trough out there around the 9th, 10th, maybe 8th, 9th, 10th time frame to eject a system back into the midsection of the United States. Okay, so what are we dealing with today? Well, today is the setup day for tomorrow's severe weather. So this is the map for tomorrow on the 30th. And we can see here a pretty large area for the risk of thunderstorms here. And then we've got a decent spot here down in parts of Texas, Louisiana, that's got both a slight and an enhanced risk in it. So we're going to be very cautious in this area for the risk of those severe storms. And then the following day, it's going to move over parts of the Gulf Coast. This would be on the December 1st, getting down here to parts of the southeast. It looks like this on the models. So what we're going to watch is the end of the lake effect snow shutting off later today, and then we get out here into tomorrow, and there's that low coming through Arizona and New Mexico. We see some scattered showers out ahead of this as we work into Thursday morning. This is now Thursday afternoon and getting into the evening hours. This is that large frontal squall line we're going to keep an eye on. Now, as this goes through, take a look at the northwest. We've got quite a bit of snow coming into the interior parts of, or snow showers at least, coming into the interior parts of Washington, Oregon, Nevada, parts of Idaho as well. Going to get some snow in parts of the Rockies, but keep an eye on the northwest side of this low. This is Thursday night at 10 p.m. Central Time. We play this forward. There is the risk right in through this area of maybe getting some mixed precipitation, be it ice or sleet. We'll watch out for that. So pretty cold rain out ahead of it. And then again, some more snow on the backside. If you remember, this is the same area that got hit with some of the heavy snow with the previous system that came through. So this gets us out there to 5 a.m. on Friday, and we'll play this through about noon on Friday, watching that storm system move through southern Michigan, spreading its rain into New England. But our attention is going to go back to the west after this. And the reason for that is that if we pay attention to the way the jet stream's coming into the west, once we get out there, this is now the 1st of December, the 2nd of December. Now watch, here comes the 3rd and 4th of December. Look at this. This is a really strong, what we call atmospheric river event that's just pummeling this particular part of the Pacific Northwest with strong onshore flow. Kind of go back and forth here on the 3rd into the 4th. And then there's another push once we get out here towards the 5th and 6th that's going to be adding quite a bit of moisture into that area. So to see it, I want to give you my multi-model analysis, but I apologize, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't get a chance to record until 6 this morning. I had a problem with the ECMWF, and I couldn't fix it. So I'm just going to wait till the 12Z run comes through and clears it out, but you'll see the issue in a few moments here. I got one bad variable inside of the data files, and I didn't have time to re-download it. It takes a long time to do that. So this is getting through Thursday. So there's the severe weather risk in the south, all good in the European model so far. You can see that the GFS a bit more aggressive on spreading that severe threat farther to the north here. Not severe threat, forgive me, thunderstorm threat. Not severe, but thunderstorm threat a little bit farther to the north. Then we're going to see the snow. It's actually in the European as well on the northern side of this, getting into Friday. Now watch what happens in the northwest. So there's my bad file, or my bad variable. There's not going to be, 25 feet of snow in through here, so ignore this. Let's get on to the next frame. There we go. This is what we've got coming in on Saturday. Look at the snow coming into the Pacific Northwest. Look at this, strong onshore flow here in both models. We play this out, by the way, second bad variable there. Let's get past it. Here we go. This is Sunday, still pushing through. System coming through the Great Lakes, rain in the southeast. It's in all of the model forecasts here. Then we watch Sunday into Monday, and the West Coast, well, the Pacific Northwest just keeps seeing these systems roll through. What I will be keeping an eye on, remember, there is a trough that's sneaking through Sunday going toward New England as we get out there toward Monday and Tuesday. Remember, we've been talking about that bigger snow that's still in the European model, a little bit farther north in the GFS. But we need to watch that system too as it curls up. So playing this out there to next Thursday, I mean, we still see the Northwest taking kind of a beating here in terms of precip. But over the next 7 days, this is what I've got from the European model. Now, this does not have the glitched data in it. This is what we've got in terms of total accumulated precip from the Euro. This is the GFS. Good agreement. I like this. I like it when the models both have the same swaths. There'll be slight differences in totals, but good forecast overall for the next 7 days. Now, in terms of snowpack, look at look at the Cascades. Some of the Cascade Mountains here are capable of picking up, a few feet of snow. The Northern Rockies, a couple of feet of snow. The Central Rockies getting added in there. And then there's that strip of snow on the northern side of that low that's coming out here. Again, Thursday into Friday, rolling right in through this area. We also see the European model continues for parts of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, putting down some snow. Same thing for Quebec. But this is some much-needed snowpack getting added here to the Cascades and Northern Rockies. Okay, what's happening after that? Well, you can see here in the upper level winds, this is jet stream level winds, that once we get out there again to the 8th, 9th, and 10th, although the flow tries to split a bit in the west, there is a trough coming over the Rocky Mountains. And while it may not have the support on the backside, I love it when there's a big, deep jet streak that dives into these things. We do have some stronger winds out ahead of it. And we can still get decent upper level support to develop a low on the back side of these things, although it typically doesn't sit where I've got the low. You see, what you want is you need to be either in an entrance region on the right-hand side or an exit region on the left-hand side of a big jet streak to get a good low. So this is going to be helped along by curves, but not helped along by the speed, all right? But there's going to be something out there next weekend. Not this one we're dealing with now, but the one following. We're just going to keep an eye out there at that point. All right, so look at some probability maps. This is the chance at getting at least an inch of total precipitation in the next 10 days. Probably because I'm recording late. Yep, we got the new run-in. I got to get you back to the old one. There we go. Let's take you out there. There it is. That's the chance of getting 2 inches. I mean, look at the Northwest. And, sorry about that. Let's now look at the chance at getting 4. So maybe let's keep going. How about 8? Very heavy precipitation here. On the snow side of this, let's go to the winter probability. There we go. And how about the chance of getting at least 3 inches of snow in the next 10 days? Let's go ahead and step this up to 6 to see some of the heavier spots here. And then how about all the way up to 18? We're just trying to figure out where the biggest snows are going to be here in the Cascades and Northern Rockies. Now, what's important about all this precipitation that's coming in, if I could just flip you back over to the chance of getting an inch, is that this is an area that desperately needs to see this. We've already had a couple of rounds of good rainfall down here, and we're going to watch the later, tomorrow about this time we're going to be seeing the new drought monitor, and I hope we see some class improvement in this particular region, given that it's exceptionally dry. I'm actually heading to Mississippi this weekend to speak to a group early Sunday morning, so I'll be kind of driving through, getting a good look at what some of this drought looks like. Next, week 2. This is something I don't fully agree with. The dryness that you see here. The European model went back over toward normal precip, but both the GFS and the CPC are a bit drier here. And why I don't agree with it is I do think that trough comes through. And if it does, we're going to have a system here in week 2, late in week 2, that's going to roll through and hit this area. Again, it's like the 9th, 10th time frame of December. Okay, quick discussion on temperatures. This is our newest frost map. So we've been watching this all week. You can already see the warm-up happening here ahead of this next system. I showed you the low temperatures earlier. Here's today's highs. So pretty big flip, right? We saw temperatures way down in the single digits just 2 days ago. And now we've seen already our high temperatures today trying to knock on the door of the 50s in parts of South Dakota. So we go into Thursday. Here's Friday's temperatures. Now remember, we have the system rolling through on Friday. So that's what the colder weather is on the backside of here, supporting some of that snow threat. But then we go into a mild weekend overall if you're east of the Rocky Mountains. There's Sunday's high temperatures, Monday, and then the whole country seems to be relatively mild working into early next week. And that seems to be the way the pattern's going. Here's your next 5 days. But by day 5 through 10, which is really fully into this first part of December, very mild air across much of North America. And it seems to last all the way out here until we get to about mid-December. Now, we've had this discussion that this second half of December is not going to look like the front half. I think there is still, you see how the warmer air is moving? Do we have evidence of actually dropping deeper troughs back into the west, getting southwest jet stream flow and just kicking off a really active second half of December? Sorry, I was scribbling all over the screen, but those are things I think we have to be talking about. I don't have a clear picture of it yet. And I did get a great request through the comments yesterday, like, hey, Eric, talk about the dumb MJO all the time. What is it? I do need to put together kind of a fun video explaining to you what it is and how we use it. And I think I'm going to work on that. I know I've promised that in the past, but I really need to do it because I think a lot of you need to have kind of that knowledge of what it is, because it's going to be an important player going forward. So I'll work on that, all right? But from here, I want to give you a quick international update. Temperatures over Europe for the next 10 days still very cold across much here of northern Europe, and especially getting up Scandinavia and this part of Russia. But it's that contrast that's key. That's what's driving several systems through the area. And if you're curious, this is total snowpack or snowfall expected over the next week. So we're looking here at 40 centimeters of, it's 50, about 15 inches of snow rolling through this area. We're going to expect maybe up to 3 feet of snow in parts of the Alps. So it's really, winter just showed up in a big way across much of Europe. But to finish up, we've got to go back to South America. So the newest update from the ECMWF, and again, this does not contain the bad variable in it. So this is the proper forecast. Take note of where we've got our best rains. All right, so a lot of that's going to be from Mato Grosso do Sul over towards Sao Paulo. We're still looking for extremely heavy rain down here on the Paraná River Basin into Uruguay and Rio Grande do Sul. Take note of the better rains that are in Buenos Aires over toward Cordoba, Santa Fe, Entre Rios. These are some key areas that have been in drought that are starting to see some relief. And we do see drier conditions farther to the north that has expanded a little bit, but when you look at my color bar, maybe it make it a bit too drastic. We're down here in this, 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inch deficit over the next 10 days. There's still going to be, in a lot of places in here, 1.5 inches of rainfall, maybe even a little bit more than that. But it is dry. It is drier than climatological averages. Let's get to here. I did want to show you down here in Rio Grande do Sul that if you look at the additional 400 millimeters of rainfall that's happened there. That's 15 inches of excess rain when you look back. Really it started in September. So they built up this September, October, early November 15-inch surplus of rainfall. And I was having people yesterday ask me, like, okay, can they handle it? And it is. I just want to make a point here. You remember 2019, okay, U.S. farmers? Think about what happened in April, May, and half of June. We had nonstop rain, right? Nonstop rain. Well, I can give you just from memory, when you look at this precip rank map, that where I live over here in Champaign County, we didn't plant corn till June. So we like to plant in April. Okay, we need to plant by May. We didn't plant until June that year. What was our total surplus? It was 7 inches. So that's more, if you come down here to Rio Grande do Sul, that's more than double what I just told you. And if you're trying to look for a break in here when they could have planted this crop, I don't see it. So, this is major delays, not just here, but other issues with delayed in the crop season farther to the north. And that's going to be the story. I don't think it's going to be a major soybean story. I think it's going to be a major safrinha crop story with a very late harvest on beans and therefore a later planting on corn. Now, you're right. It doesn't help that it's so dry in this area. There's going to be issues with that as well. But I think this is more about the shifting of the crop calendar and what that does to our export markets and what that does to total productivity. Now, that's not my area of expertise, but that's something that I'm keeping an eye on. Okay, what are the other things keeping an eye on? This, right? I showed you this last week, but let's revisit it. This is an area down here that has just been, it haven't seen the sun in a very long time. Where there's been an abundant sunshine north, the cumulative downward solar flux here is very low. So we're going to keep that narrative just alive until it's no longer an issue. And our friends in Australia that have enjoyed some, unseasonal wet weather. What I mean by that is we have an El Nino who shouldn't see this. They're expected to get, go back over toward a little bit of a drier pattern. but still wet throughout Indonesia. Look at this. Southeast Asia, India, very, very wet overall in the pattern. And we cannot be ignoring the drought issues that are in South Africa. I know that a lot of us, that probably watch my videos don't think about the agricultural productivity of this part of the world. But the drought that is expanding there is key to watch. So please keep an eye on that, or I'll keep an eye on it and keep telling you about it. All right, thanks for hanging around this morning. We'll get the short video recorded next, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thanks.